podcast. It's a beautiful morning here in Wailoko. And by the way, my name is Inise Wiyale. I'm a field officer with the community team. And I ask the other beautiful ladies to introduce themselves.
Bulavanaka, my name is Lenny, and I'm one of the founders of Homes of Hope, and I'm also the resident grandma.
Bulavinaka, and I am Turela Christopher Nakalevu, National Director of Homes of Hope.
Bulavinaka, I'm Inyata Benava, and I'm also a member of a community department as a team leader.
I'd like to welcome all of you beautiful ladies for our 500th take. As you can see, we're not professionals, but we hope that this podcast will be able to help you become aware of issues that are happening in our families and in our communities. With this very first podcast, I'd like Auntie Eth and Auntie Lenny to tell us the vision of the podcast.
So this podcast was really birthed out of a desire to prevent forced sex. And we'll explain a little bit later what that term refers to. But we've worked for almost 3 decades in Fiji now as an organization, and we've worked with tens of thousands of young people, young girls, families, within schools, and we've learned so much and heard so many stories that we realize that there's so much that we can do at the bottom of the cliff, helping repair and bring healing. But with this podcast, we're hoping for prevention. So this podcast is all about prevention, and we really want to speak to families. As much as we can help you families with everything that we've learned through the years, we would like to do that. Etta, why don't you share what you've seen?
In addition to that, we feel, there's almost 3 decades, right? We feel there's an urgency and a commitment to create awareness in this area of forced sex. And we are very grateful having to start this podcast, and it is a means of getting the message across.
And so we work in hotspot communities and have seen such brokenness. And a lot of it is just people don't know. They don't know how to be married. They don't know how to be parents. And so we want to come alongside and help with that. And just for clarification, the term forced sex is exactly what it sounds like. It's sex that's forced. It's not by consent. It's not by mutual consent. And so it includes rape, incest, sexual exploitation, sexual abuse, human trafficking. So those types of things where sex has been forced is not God's way of doing things. And so that's what we're trying to prevent. And this podcast is one way that we want to do that.
Right. So, Homes of Hope is the organization that we work for. I'd like Mrs. Nakalevu to tell us and tell you more about Homes of Hope.
Naka, Indi, thank you so much. And you've heard from my colleagues here on the reason of this podcast. And I guess it's just to create awareness, to send out the messages out there. How can we help you? How can we help society protect their girls, their children, the families from this social ill of forced sex? Coming back to Homes of Hope, an organization, a faith-based organization, birthed 27 years, almost 3 decades now. And you've seen one of the founders, Lily, and her dear husband, Pastor Mark, came to our shores almost 30 years ago to start the organization. It was birthed out of the desire to combat one of the social ills that were prevalent then, and I believe it is now, also now. And the vision that was given at that time was to create a culture of freedom for women and children, who really are our primary focus, our target population that we are trying to reach out to and help, who we believe are the most vulnerable in our society, given the many factors that prevents them from achieving and reaching their goals. Also to provide, to give freedom from the cycles and stigmas of forced sex. Coming back to that vision, what have we done? What have we been doing for the last almost 30 years? Well, Homes of Hope have started with a shelter. We provide a shelter that provides restorative care. And that is to bring women survivors and those, and now we're also reaching out to the vulnerable to forced sex, situations of forced sex. And we give them hope. We train them, we empower them, and then we work with the families to empower them to protect their young ones from the social ill. So coming back to the vision, our vision is to create a culture of freedom from the cycles and stigmas of forced sex. Thank you. That explains the
And
vision.
to add on, I think it's important for you people that are listening to understand that Homes of Hope is not just a care home. We don't just babysit people that come to stay here.
Right.
We are not just food and shelter, but we're all about restoration. And so, and coupled with that, when we work with the individual, we have so many programs that we'll explain in another episode. But also, as Auntie Tu mentioned, we work alongside families because it's not just the individual that needs healing. The family that this individual came from also needs healing. So it's a very holistic approach that we do here within the organization. And this podcast just plays one part. But we are excited about the podcast.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, and also on the same note, we will be crossing cultural lines, and this is a subject that no one wants to talk about. And, given the culture of our silence in our society, and totally I agree with the team, and this is something that we are excited to share so that it can bring about the much needed transformation, changes in the families, in each individual, in the families, in the community in which they live, and of course, in our nation as a whole.
That's
Yeah.
right.
That's right.
And with our target audience as families, it'll have to be family because the foundation has to be solid,
Right.
in order for everything else to go smoothly. Your family has to be stable. So we hope you enjoy other episodes and things that we're going to talk about next. But for today, I'd like to take this time to thank you for watching and for listening to our episode. We hope that what you heard and has helped break down some of the barriers you might have held towards yourself or others who may have been impacted by forced sex. For further information, please visit us on our website at www.hopefiji.org.
And if you have comments, questions, or you would like to share your own story, please email us at homesofhopepodcast@hopefiji.org.
And for those of you that are living in Fiji, if you need immediate assistance, please contact the Child Helpline, which is at 1325, Domestic Violence Helpline, which is at 1560, the Counseling Helpline, 5626, or Lifeline Fiji at 1543. If you would like to access other services, you can look online for MSP, Medical Services Pacific, Fiji Women's Crisis Center, or Empower Pacific. From all of us, we're so grateful that you were here with us in Etta's sitting room. We're so grateful. Naka.